Here goes nothing. That actually doesn't look that bad. Nice. Wow. Oh, wow. Alright, next thing we need to do to this H2 powered crosskart project is we need to hook up the radiator coolant lines going from the engine to the radiator in the front. Now, pretty much the only spot to do this is just right down the middle of the frame, which is not that great, I will admit, having it right in between the driver and passenger, kind of just right there. These do get really hot, so I feel like it's, you know, if I was better at pre-planning a project like this, I would have thought to make the two center rails in the frame, I could have turned those into the coolant lines and just have the coolant run in the tubing. That would have been cool, that would have worked. But I didn't think about doing that until it's way too late, and I don't want to say it would be impossible to do it now, but I would have to completely cut apart a lot of the tubing and have to redo a lot of stuff, which is a little too late for that now. So let's just run the coolant lines down the middle. Worst case, if these get really hot and it's annoying, I could always wrap these in exhaust header wrap. Now, we need to make a custom aluminum piece that replaces this. This connects to the water pump right here, and then that also connects this to the oil cooler. But this goes straight up, just like that. We need to have it come straight across to have the coolant line run through right here. So let's make a new one. Alright, I am going to pressure test this because I will admit the welds are definitely not really that great. So, let me pressure test. I'm going to do it off camera. Alright, so luckily I was able to kind of tuck the coolant lines in between the skid plate and this paneling right here for the shifter as well as the e-brake, and that kind of hides it a little bit better. right where the seats are gonna go, but it's still just sitting on top of the skid plates right here, which is not great, but I don't know, I may see if I can put a cover over it or something like that. Now, I did have to install 2 separate radiator caps because there's 2 separate high spots in the coolant system, and I need to be able to fill it up properly without having a giant air pocket on one side. One of them I'm going to cap off. I'm probably going to cap off the one on the front, so therefore it can't ventilate properly. And the radiator cap in the back, I'm probably going to let that one vent properly and put a catch can on the back, because there's more of a convenient spot to put a catch can on the back than there is on the front. So anyway, let's work on installing the throttle cable. Alright, so the throttle is hooked up. Now, on the return throttle cable, there's some weird little momentary switch that activates whenever you pull on it, and I have honestly no idea what it does. I'm not sure if it needs to be hooked up, but I wasn't really planning on installing a return cable, so I don't know. I think for now, let's just leave it. If it ends up being important later, then I'll add a return cable. Alright, so now that the throttle is hooked up, I think next let's work on adding the paneling on this side. Last video, we did the paneling on this side. Now we just need to install it on this side. Alright, so this turned out not half bad. I kind of like how it looks. I like how it follows the cross bracing of the frame. I like the angles and everything. Now, I may want to add later on more paneling between this and the gas tank. There's a huge gaping hole right here. I may want to add paneling right there to continue the firewall, but I may want to leave it open. I'm not really sure yet, so we'll figure that out later on. So now, I kind of hate doing paneling like this because not only does this take forever, but I feel like I can't really film that much of it because I'm just doing the same process over and over. I'm just tacking tabs in place, I'm cutting out aluminum, trimming it to fit properly, drilling holes with this, I'm welding it in place, and I'm just kind of doing the same process over and over and over with every single panel that I need to add to this vehicle, and it's just really repetitive. And I feel like I can't film that much of it because I don't want to just film just really repetitive stuff and just showing that over and over. So, and I'm standing back and looking at this vehicle and it's like, yeah, there's still a lot more paneling that I want to add to this vehicle, and all of this stuff is going to take I mean, this is probably another week and a half of work to do all the paneling that I want to add to this vehicle. But anyway, at least the firewall is done, and we can move on to working on to something else. Now, next thing I want to work on is trying to finish the doors. We need to weld these together. I need to finish welding the hinges together, as well as we need to do the latching mechanism. So I was gonna TIG weld the hinges, but it's just gonna be a lot faster just to MIG weld it. It's not gonna look as pretty, but it'll be a lot faster. Alright, so the welding is done on the doors. That wasn't that hard. I just had to finish the welding. Now, the tricky part is going to be the latching mechanism to keep the doors closed. Now, I've done doors before. I did them for the mini trophy truck project, and the latching mechanism that I made for that project was pretty simple. It was fairly simple, and it seems to work. And for this, I was thinking, is there a different way that I can do the latching mechanism for this project, so therefore I'm not just straight up copying how I did it for the trophy truck project. But honestly, I can't really think of an easy, simple way to, you know, do a latching mechanism that's different to how I did it for the trophy truck project. So I'm just gonna copy how I did it for that project. It seemed to work pretty well, and it was not that hard to make. Alright, so I got the latching mechanism for the doors mostly finished. I basically just straight up copied how I did it for the mini trophy truck project. I mean, it works great for that project, so might as well do the exact same for this one. And it works great, closes easily, and locks in place. Now, I do still need to add a handle right here to be able to more easily open the door. Right now I can push this bolt forward, but that's kind of a little annoying. So I want to add a handle right here. But I kind of don't really want to do it right now, so we'll do it some other time. Right now, let's work on something else. Alright, so next thing is I really want to try the electric reverse on this project that I installed. Now, for those who don't remember, I installed this flywheel on the limited slip differential and made it to where we can bolt this starter motor off a small block Chevy to hopefully have electric reverse at the push of a button, because I really wanted to try and figure out an easy, cheap way to add reverse because we don't have reverse because it's a motorcycle engine, and I had seen this done before and I thought it would work, but one thing I didn't really think about is the way that I had seen it done. They actually put the flywheel on the drive shaft going to the differential, and there's a lot of gear reduction in the differential, so the starter motor isn't one-to-one between the starter motor and the tires. This setup, it's one-to-one, so I honestly have no idea if this will work. Now, we did kind of try it. We lifted up the rear end and had the tires just spinning in the air, and we hooked it up to a battery and spun it up, and it spins the tires pretty fast, and it seems like it has a decent amount of torque, a decent amount of power, but I have no idea if it actually has enough power to actually move this vehicle backwards. So now that the frame is all welded together, I really want to try it and to see if it works. So let's put this in the frame, hook it up to a battery, and just see what happens. Now I am going to use a lawnmower battery, and I just finished charging this, so it should be full battery. I'm also using vice grips to clamp the wires on because I want to be able to rip these off really fast if I need to. Now I want to test it one more time with the tires in the air just to make sure everything's hooked up properly. Also make sure it's not going to get stuck on or anything. So here goes nothing. That actually, it doesn't jump anywhere near as much as it did before, which just goes to show you how much stronger it is now that it's all welded together. Oh. That actually doesn't look that bad. Nice. Nice. All right, let's actually do this. So there's not really that much room in here to go that far, but I don't know, at least we can test it. Wow. Oh, wow. So it works. You can tell it's going to be pretty fast. Man. Nice. Wow, I actually can't believe that actually works. I want to see if I can hold it back. Nice. Oh, I can't believe it actually works. It's a bit fast, you know, it's nice. Oh, it actually works. I am really surprised. The wires are a bit warm, I'll admit, so yeah, we may not be able to use it for that long. So now I want to see if it has enough power to at least pull the front wheels up over this little incline to get into the shed. So we'll see if this works. You can hear it struggle a little bit, but it did it. That is awesome. It's actually working. I want to do it again. It actually works. Nice. So, I am honestly surprised that actually worked. You could tell that it definitely wants to move faster if I held the button down for longer, and if I had more space in here, it'd actually move pretty fast. And it did seem to have enough power, enough torque to, pull the front tires up, or because it's a slight ramp down, to pull out of the shed, and then it's a slight uphill. Now, the wires did get pretty warm. These are 8-gauge wires, and it is, I think, like 5-6 feet long, so I may have to upsize the size of wires, and you can tell after using it a couple times, the battery started to get a little low, but it actually works. I am surprised, but anyway, we're getting pretty close to being able to finally start working on wiring this vehicle up. We only have a couple more things we need to do. I need to install the muffler. I bought some stainless tubing because we have to extend it a little bit and get it a little bit higher. I bought some stainless steel tubing. Still waiting for that to get here. We need to figure out where we're putting the battery box, where we're putting the wiring box. And then we need to install some type of dashboard so that we can hook up a starting button and on-off switch, as well as the tachometer, all that kind of stuff. Once we do all that, then we can start working on wiring and trying to get this engine to fire up. Now, I'm probably going to take a little break from this project. I think this is the 4th video of continuing working on this, and I want to put this thing to the side for a little bit and work on a different project for a little bit, just so I'm not, uploading just, the same project for longer than a month. But once we get back to work on it, then we can start working on wiring and all that kind of stuff. But I guess for this video, I guess that's it. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video.